This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hey everybody, it is time for Party Loaded. It is Tuesday the 5th of September. It is a video game podcast for you, for me, for everyone, but most importantly, for the puppies. And to join us tonight to chat about all said puppies and everything else, we have the entire crew. So we have Mimo, we have Ollie, we have Jam. Hello team, what's going on?
Hello.
I have a puppy on my lap.
You do have a puppy
I
on
don't
your
understand the puppies thing.
You don't understand the puppies thing. What don't you understand about the
Oh,
puppies
wait,
thing?
no, I do. It's from the trailer, isn't it?
It is
That's
from
right.
the
Correct.
trailer.
I'm on board.
Yeah. So this is, in fact, this is a very, very special pre-Destiny episode. Yeah, that's it. No, look, I mean, the trailer just made a very, very strong impression on me and a lot of people, I think. And, yeah, like, got me super excited this week. It was really, really good start to the week, I thought. So, and
We've only moved the entire podcast so that we can play Destiny 2.
that is true. It is, in fact, a day earlier.
Unlocks.
Assholes.
That's it. No, Ollie, if we're doing it for the puppies, and Ollie being a huge dog lover, I'm sure you'd understand. So yeah, that works out.
It's true.
Noodle.
I do.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, Ollie, you were not here last week. How you feeling now? You gotten over the pestilence?
I am no longer beplagued.
Nice.
Hooray.
Been playing
I'm
some.
not a snot factor anymore.
Been playing some games while you've been sickly. You managed to get any time in for anything? Nope.
Well, yes, that's a lie. I did play games. I didn't play lots of games, though, because I still went to work, because I'm an asshole, apparently. Because that's what you do when you're sick. You go into work and you infect everybody else.
Yes.
So
Cool like
it's
that.
you.
Sharing is caring.
It's all me.
You're one of those.
But yeah, so I played a little game called Destiny 2. I tried out the PC beta for it.
Mm-hmm.
It is acceptable.
I knew you were going to say that. I had the word picked out
He's
in my mind.
decided, therefore he's played Destiny 2, technically.
Ollie, did you play
And
the
therefore-
first
I
one at all?
have. I
His
played the
opinion
beta
is-
jam.
Is whole.
But in regards to the beta, yes. I tried everything of the beta.
Mm-hmm.
Asshole. I can confirm, graphics are really pretty. Graphics are super pretty. Sound design is okay. The soundtrack is a bit average, but that's okay. The story is more enjoyable. I do like the story more than the first one so far. Mission-wise, the campaign, I use air quotes there, but it is a campaign. I much more enjoyed how that played out, in that it wasn't just do a puzzle, fight off waves of enemies, do a puzzle, fight off waves of enemy, which is really nice, actually. It's a nice change of pace. Because that's what made Destiny 1 really grind for me, was that stop, waves of baddies, okay, keep going.
Yeah.
Stop, waves of baddies, boss, keep going. So I'm liking it more. I'm happy to wait for the PC release. I'm not like super excitable, like, oh my god, I have to play it now, oh my god.
1
But
hour,
it's fun.
29 minutes.
Yeah, I'm
Just
not
saying.
that. I'm not that.
Yeah, that being said,
I also
though...
tried the strike.
Oh, yeah. How'd you go on the strike?
Oh, no, you go. Oh, okay. I think I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I think I actually prefer them to the raids. Raids are fun, don't get me wrong, but raids are a massive time sink. They are a huge time sink.
Shut
Super
your
fun.
whore mouth.
Super... No, you can't deny that, Jan. They are a huge time sink.
I don't deny that, but I adore the raids, so...
No, and so do I. But I feel like the strikes are a nice happy medium, if that makes any sort of sense, where you can still do a
Yes,
mini boss, still
definitely.
farm for loot, still get a cool mission,
The
but
poor
it's
man's
not
raid.
8 hours later.
Poor man's raid.
Yeah, the filthy casuals.
It's
Exactly.
for me.
So I am liking the game overall. I'm not like convinced now to go out and buy a PS4 Pro just to play Destiny with everyone else. I'm happy to wait for the
hiss.
PC. Whatever.
That's what I was going to say, though. Like, do you think that if you actually did happen to own the PS4 that you'd be jumping in tomorrow with everybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tonight, in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I already owned a PS4,
Yeah.
I would be playing it because it's like, oh, cool, I'll just buy it.
Which is fine. Like, that makes total sense because the barrier to entry for you, for, jumping on with the rest of us at that time is going to be, several $100s more, which is understandable. The game has to be pretty special to make you want to do that. So, yeah. It's interesting. One thing I wanted to ask you, because we actually found out about this after Jam and I played through the beta test on console, was that apparently they changed up the intro mission a little bit with one of the builds that they apparently had sort of earlier on, but they sort of forgot to leave this change in, and it ended up being a bit harder than they anticipated. So the bit where you get to the turbine in the opening story mission,
I got smooshed by one.
Yeah, how did that actually play out for you? Because apparently they were going to change that to be a bit easier than when we had to do it in the beta. So...
it wasn't that bad. Like, I accidentally flew like a retard into the turbines and got insta-gibbed.
Whoops.
Apart from that, it was fine.
how many bits of the turbine did you actually have to blow up? Because I think we had to shoot out 3, and they might have reduced that.
Yes.
It was still 3.
No, I had to shoot out 3 when I played.
Oh, okay, maybe they didn't change it then. Huh.
It wasn't so bad.
No, I didn't
It really
find it
wasn't
too
bad at all. It was
fine.
just pure. Yeah, it was just me being an absolute muppet and flying into one that made it annoying.
Yeah.
I should also say I played a gunslinger because who doesn't love space cowboys?
Nice. So, Jam, what are
Rock
you
my
planning on
gun off.
playing when everything goes live? Have you picked out your...
I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm happy to play anything. What are you guys going to play?
This is what makes me think you guys won't play much tonight because Jam's going to take 2 hours making a fucking character.
That's going to be the face, man. I don't care
true.
what class I go, but I'm going to spend 2 hours on the face. I'm assuming
so
we
like I
get
said,
to
you're
craft
not
And
our
then you're going
face.
to wear a helmet.
Yep.
Well, in Destiny 1, I played a Titan, which I quite enjoyed at the time, but I think I probably want to try something different. I played a Warlock for the beta, so I might go with Warlock for a bit, but I'm going to roll a couple of different characters. Now, Mimo, you haven't played a whole bunch of Destiny, so you kind of, I guess, are coming in a bit fresher, aren't you?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I played the demo
Yeah.
because I got
You
interested.
peel things.
Yeah, and I played the demo on Xbox, I want to say. So, yeah, whole new world. But I guess we'll find out. But I'm more than likely going to spend 2 hours designing my face, if that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a fair bit.
Picking up some sweet threads that will instantly be replaced.
It's true. I should also say the level of customization in this game is really cool. I am a big fan of the amount of like how deep you can go with your customization. It's actually pretty nifty. So I did
Alright,
appreciate
so Jam
that
and I
angle.
just going to spend our whole time like creating characters, right?
No, as in like
That's-
options for like your ability loadouts, and then options for your weapons and stuff like that,
There
and then
was-
even
there was
like
no
different
face
components for your
option.
weapons.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no face option in the beta. I'm not even sure if we're getting a face option. I'm assuming
doubt it very
the
much.
social areas will still
Well,
have...
they wear masks
helmetless.
all the time, like helmets.
Yeah, but
and
not in the
stuff.
social areas. Well, not in Destiny 1. Otherwise, how can you tell if like,
This feels
you're
like
a robot?
WoW. It feels like I'm going back into WoW, guys.
A little,
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
WoW meets Borderlands is not an unfair analogy I've heard.
Yeah.
Back down
I'm
the
okay with
rabbit
that.
hole. See you
I'm
in
just
3
looking
months.
forward to exploring.
But Imogen, the best part is doing it with friends when we're all pumped and excited for the same thing, and you get to ride that wave. That's the fun bit.
For
So,
surezies.
yeah.
I would say the only thing I'm worried about in Destiny is that it will go the way of WoW, in that you will all spend much more time in it on one particular weekend and just zoom ahead of me, and then, you get left behind.
Carry the
and it's
Mimo.
very-
Probably.
Yeah.
I'll have
Yeah.
a second character.
Welcome to why I'm waiting for PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe by the time they bring out the PC version, PlayStation will have finished discussions about cross-platform play. That would be really freaking cool.
Well, actually, on the
don't think
topic of
Destiny's gonna be-
cross-platform play, I mean, I think cross-platform play is always something that Sony's going to be a bit of a stick in the mud about. But cross-platform save, like character porting, that seems to be all in the hands of Bungie. So
That would be cool.
yeah,
Just be like, boop, PC, fully level character, suck it, Oliver.
Yeah, if I could play on both, like if I owned both and I could play the same character and I could just pick and choose, that would be really cool. Or also I could play on my console with people playing on PC. I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the Blizzard launcher, so, it's not a distant reality. You've got some cross-platform games on there, so we'll see.
It's a little bit of a shame that you can't use the Blizzard launcher on the consoles, I think, because they managed to do that for Diablo on consoles, didn't they? I'm pretty sure you used Battle.net with Diablo. for your friends list and stuff on console? I'd have to check that, but I'm almost certain that that's how it works.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and of course, they've done it on mobile too with Hearthstone, because you've got your Battle.net friends list on mobile with that. So I think they can definitely do it. It's just a matter of, again, Sony's probably going to get in the way of that kind of thing, because sharing users across platforms with Microsoft, that's probably one of the sticking points for them. So yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, the real bummer will be if it's like Xbox to PC is something that just happens, and then PlayStation drags its heels.
Oh, I'll be so dirty.
That would suck.
that would be bad. Yeah, wouldn't be the first time either.
No.
Now, Ollie, I saw that you actually finished something the week before, which I'm super keen to hear about, because I have not managed to do this myself. How did Hellblade sort of wrap up for you?
I really enjoyed the game. Actually, let me rephrase that. I really enjoyed the experience, but the game was very average. So that's a weird sentence to say, I'm aware. Like, as a game, as like, here's mechanics and here's ways to entertain you, it was very average. As an experience for like, here's cool art, here's amazing sound design, here's a cool look at Psychosis and all that sort of stuff, brilliant. But the actual game elements, like here's some boss battles, here's the puzzles, I found really repetitive and really bland after a while. But the actual story and all the other bits, amazing.
Okay.
Like, absolutely great.
Interesting.
But yeah, quite a short game, actually. I think I clocked in at just over 5 hours.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, it is a bit shorter than I thought. So the bit that you and I were up to when we discussed it on the show last, which I think was around like that opening area where there's two main sort of sections where you need to sort of do a whole bunch of puzzles and fight a boss at each area.
Tricky Man and Fireman.
Yeah, that's right. So how much game is there after those two when you clear those areas?
I will not say, because it will spoil a lot for anyone that wants to play.
All right, cool. That's fair. All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, there's some very cool sequences in there. Like, yeah, I just wish that the combat worked a bit smoother and there was a bit more variety in the bad guys, that sort of thing. Like, a lot of times it's like, here's the boss and here's the same sort of minions added. And then once you, like, sort of reach all the varieties of minions, you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, that was a little annoying. But overall, I really enjoyed it. This sounds really bad, but it's genuinely, I feel, one of those games you could probably just watch the cutscenes for and just skip through. Like, if you just find a Let's Play and just go, I skip through the combat, you'll probably enjoy it more, which is a bit depressing to say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fun game, like, as in, like, as an experience. The graphics are gorgeous, the story is gritty and awesome, the flavor is great, and I love the sound design so much. The sound design is amazing. And it's a very mature story, which is what I quite like as well. I'm a big fan of mature games. But the actual gameplay mechanics themselves, I did not enjoy overly much.
Oh, that's fair.
It tried to be Dark Souls combat and didn't make it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, there's a few games that I think have attempted that, but you need the variety of enemies to really pull it off, and the technicality of the sword fighting has to carry through, so yeah.
Yeah, and that didn't really.
Yeah.
But no, I would still recommend it, and Mima, I actually do think you would like it again. I know I've gone like, you'll like it, you won't, you'll like it.
Yeah, I got a message from
I
Ollie
reckon
going,
you will.
I've played more Hellblade. I don't think you'll like it. I had a big discussion with my
because it got a
husband
little
about it.
bit spoopy, and there's some genuinely creepy parts in there. And I was like, oh,
I don't
okay,
mind
that's
a little
actually
bit spoopy.
disturbing.
I don't like just horror for the
As
sake
in
of
jump
horror.
scares or creepiness?
No, I don't mind either of those things. Like, I play games that have jump scares and creepiness. I just don't like when that's the fun part of the game.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
in that case, you'll be fine with this then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's used
will
for
have no
dramatic
issues with
effect, but
this.
it's certainly not the central theme. Yeah. Yeah.
It's purely for, oh god, this stuff is really messed up, and you're like, yep, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well,
No, I would recommend it.
failing that, Imogen, as I mentioned to you during the week, there is a game that I managed to wrap up this week that I would highly recommend to you because I think you'd love the shit out of it, and that is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which I wrapped up shortly after our last show, and I can't really talk too much about story for this one because of obvious spoilers, but this game is pretty much in my shortlist for the Game of the Year at the moment. I fucking loved it.
Wow.
It was so good, yeah. Well, I mean, you guys know I was a huge Uncharted 4 fan. Like, that game really spoke to me last year and was right up there for me as well. And I was... Because The Lost Legacy was actually pitched originally as DLC for Uncharted 4, and they kind of changed the pitch for it like partway through and ended up releasing it as its own thing. And it's kind of, I mean, it's Uncharted 4 like mini at the moment. It's kind of like, you know, half the game for about like just over half the price. But in terms of the quality of the game, it is every bit as good. Like, definitely doesn't lack any of the polish or the beauty of Uncharted. Like, the graphics are perfect, the characters are awesome, the dialogue is right up there. Actually, there's some ways in which I actually like it better than Uncharted 4, just because the two female leads, like Nadine Ross and Chloe Frazier in it, are just such a great duo together. Like, I think they actually have a bit... It's funny, like I've actually read a few reviews where they disagree with this and they don't think they have as good chemistry as, say, like Nathan Drake and Sully. But I think that they actually have a better chemistry because Uncharted 4 was more about Nathan Drake and his brother Sam, because they had sort of just been reunited, like after not really knowing each other for most of their adult life. And in this case, it's kind of like a character that was designed as a bit of a heel for Uncharted 4 in the form of Nadine, because she was kind of like the mercenary commander that was a bit of a villain in Uncharted 4, and now she's one of the main sort of leads in this game. But that actually makes her story that much more interesting. Like, you're kind of looking at her as, you know, she's someone who was a villain, and now how does she fit into this game as like a positive protagonist, and her redemption story in a way really makes that fit quite well. Like, she has a good motivation to be there, and that makes her all the more compelling. But these games just nail it with their dialogue, because the storytelling happens as you're playing. Like, there's no, even though there are cutscenes to sort of, you know, bridge different levels with, you know, action sequences and bits and pieces like that, all of the character development happens while you're roaming the world. Like, just the general conversations they have is where it's at. Like, you could be driving around in a Jeep and they're having a conversation about random stuff that, you know, doesn't relate to anything specific that's going on in the main plot, but it just kind of helps to flesh out the characters a bit more. And the way that they pace it is perfect, because as soon as you get out of the vehicle, like, it doesn't just cut off mid-sentence. It just says, oh, hold that thought, and then they go off and do what they're doing. And when they get back in the vehicle, the first thing they say is something along the lines of, oh yes, where were we? And then they carry on the conversation. So it's really smooth, really natural the way they do it. I really liked it. But yeah, there was one sequence in Uncharted 4 which was probably my favourite part of the entire game, which was like a huge chase sequence. And they didn't recreate that exact sequence in Lost Legacy, but there is something similar in a lot of ways and as good that really sort of scratched my itch for that scene as well. So there was a definite highlight there. And the ending just had me grinning from ear to ear. So yeah, huge recommendation. If they don't do another Uncharted with those two ladies, I'm going to be very, very surprised and disappointed. So yeah. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, like, it's literally about maybe 8 hours. So
That's not bad.
Not a massive commitment. So yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, that was all right. I mean, difficulty level is probably about the same as the main Uncharted game. So, you know, there's a bit of trial and error with some of the bits. There is a bit of puzzle sort of stuff, but nothing super difficult. Like, you know, you will get stuck in a few of the combat sequences and, you know, get shot to death a few times, but just go back and, you know, you'll get it. So yeah, it's one of those games that just is. I found it very, very hard to put down. So yeah, can recommend. It was great. Memo, you've got more than you know what to do with as far as game options now, because you've actually got a PC that can play all that shit. So
Hooray!
How's the first week of The Beast? How's that all going?
The Beast. It has been really good. I haven't had a lot of time to play on it, I would admit. I played on Saturday night with you guys, which was super fun. But no, she's all settled in now, and she even has a name, so... She's Lagatha.
Lagatha?
She's such a beast. Yeah.
Is that not tempting fate, having a name that has lag in it? Like, is that...
Oh, do you know who she is?
No, I don't. Who's Lagatha?
Daughter of Broomhilda.
Lagatha.
Okay. One of the strongest female Vikings in history.
Ah, all right. I'll take your word for it.
There
Cool.
Yeah. Also, the
Shield
popular
Maiden.
series, HBO series, The Vikings. Yes.
I got to say,
Is
like,
proper swab.
before we even get into our party game discussion later this episode, how much of a freaking Viking theme have we had the last month or two? I mean, holy moly. We've played Northgard, we've got, Hellblade going on, we've got Jotun that we're discussing tonight. It just seems like we've had Vikings everywhere. So, yeah.
Oh, I
And you know
love
what?
it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
I'm down. I'm 100% down.
Yeah.
We played PlayerUnknown's. It was really, really fun on Saturday. So made the decision that GTA 5 was not going to install in time. played some PlayerUnknowns, and we sucked. And it was great.
Yeah, we did. Such fun.
We got second in what was the closest that we got. We were the second team. And I think I ended up being like 12th or something before I died, and then the rest of the team sort of carried through. But man, it's hard. I every time I saw another person, I died. So
I felt that we did better on Saturday night than Jam and Ollie and I have done sort of since then. So, you know.
I mean, I did great without you guys.
Yeah.
So...
I made top 3 tonight. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Yeah. I did have I had my first like PUBG moment, which was these guys all the guys in Luke and Jam had been killed and our friend Al had been killed or was being killed or something along those. Oh, you were in somewhere else. Anyway, these two people rocked up in a car and I panicked and I just like proned on the ground, like just lay in the grass. They parked their car right next to me and I'm like, oh, I'm for sure dead. Like they're just gonna like kill me right now. They both got out of the car and stood on top of me and started firing at everybody else. And I was like, oh.
It was hilarious.
Was this a first-person server or a third-person server?
Third person.
I was spectating and it was glorious.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, do they know I'm here? Jam's like, stand up, just do it, just stand up, kill them. And, no, of course I died. As soon as I stood up, they're like, what the crap?
Ninja appears.
It was so good.
Mimo. So yeah, that was my first PUBG moment. Very exciting. I watched so many Let's Play in this thing now, so everyone was... once I knew the buttons, I kind of got it. I realized that my distinct disadvantage is I do not understand guns. So, like, whether or not people have that knowledge because they, like, watch a lot of movies or know a lot about guns or you play a lot of games with guns, but I don't. Everyone was like, you need, like, an automatic... everyone was like talking about ARs and I was like looking at this gun and then this gun. I'm like, is this a good gun? They're like, well, you need like a mid-range, long-range gun. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
I need the guns that goes pew pew.
Yeah, somebody just tell me which is the good gun and I'll look for that one and I'll throw away all the other ones. So I rather enjoyed like, I found my frying pan a couple of times.
Oh, it's the best.
It's pretty good. I had a full PUBG experience and experienced some internet in the sort of launching screen. Which was not super fun. Like the proximity chat and some of the crap that was going on in there.
Just mute that shit.
Was really bad. And I was like to the point where Jam and I like, I'm just gonna walk away. That's actually made me feel physically ill. It was gross. So other than that, everything was good. It's a solid game. Do enjoy.
The proximity chat comes in real handy when you've got, like when you're playing a team game and there's actually another team in the vicinity of you and they're communicating with each other and they don't realise you're there and you can hear them. That's really cool. That's really, really awesome.
But I had to have that turned on, right? They couldn't just like hear me talking through my mic?
No, I don't believe so. Like...
Okay.
You have to have it turned on.
Yeah,
we would have been hearing you twice.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, because we like logged off, and the other day I was like, can everybody else hear me? Like, let's
Just run around the battlefield.
Hey guys,
I need a sniper rifle.
No, it's like when we play Overwatch, because when we play Overwatch, we're still usually chatting through Discord as opposed to the Overwatch voice sort of client. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of Overwatch, you got to see all of the cardboard boxes and the candles.
Oh my god, it was so real. So I played Overwatch on Ultra. So I went from the lowest of low settings, and there is whole parts of this game, not just the candelabras and the stuff that's on the tables and all of that. There is whole like transition screens that I've never seen. I got to choose my character before anybody else did, which was super exciting. And we played the Hollywood map, for example, and Jam's like, oh, come and look at this. And I was like, Jam, there's food on these tables. There's like plates and things. And then I press like a punch button. Yeah, I'm punching the sauce. I was so excited. It was it's a whole different game. We didn't play very well. We played some deathmatch.
No.
That
was unusual.
That was, unusual is and there was already some grossness. There was some more internet in the deathmatch stuff as well. So, Jam and I, we tried it. We gave it a shot. It's all good.
I think we should try again with a group of 4.
Yeah, I think the more people, the better. I think the coordination wasn't quite there, but we went back to Mayhem and pushed some tin. Had some pretty intense games. Doomfist continues to be the worst thing ever in that mode.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, that Doomfist we had in that match wasn't too bad because they weren't very good. But not, it was still quite annoying. Yeah.
At least in Deathmatch, he'll draw the attention of just about everybody, so that will cease to be as big a problem. So,
Yeah, it's very true. The very opposite of weird things like Doomfist in Overwatch was something that came out of PAX West. And so if you've been under a gaming rock, the last weekend has been so many different cons, and that's from tabletop to comic-based and fan-based, as well as PAX Prime, or now known as PAX West, happened over in Seattle. And our friends over at League of Geeks have told us that our Mellow is finally coming to iOS. Now, when I say finally, that's not because they've been dragging their heels. It's more so that in 2011, this game was kickstarted to be an iPhone and iPad game. And obviously with the success of the Kickstarter and everything else around it, they moved it to Steam, and that was still on the cards, and it's still been on the cards this whole time. They've always said they're working on it and everything else, and now it will be. It's going to be later this year. They've said a couple of months / later this year, but they had like a bunch of videos of people sort of having a look, and it looks awesome. There is no difference between, as far as I can tell, the Steam game and what we'll be experiencing on the iPad.
That's so exciting.
Cool.
Thank
Everything
goodness.
translates, except it will be touch.
Oh my goodness.
And the richness of it on the screen that you can see through the recording. Like, so if you search for Armello iOS, you're going to find the article. PAX have shared it, League of Geeks have shared it, a whole bunch of people have shared it, especially if you're already in the Armello kind of world, you're going to see it. But it looks just really good. So I hope that it is something that we get by PAX Australia, ?
Oh,
I mean,
if that's the launch, that would be
That'd
so
be
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
that would be amazing. Like, especially like if they're like give away codes to it or something. I don't know. It would be I imagine an expensive iPad app. I assume. I don't know. And I don't know. I didn't see in the video or didn't see anything about, whether we'd be playing just iOS or, whatever else. I'm assuming it's going to be cross-platform. I'm assuming that's where the time has come in.
I think it could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that doesn't.
Know if,
so I was going to say the one thing that doesn't sort of click as like an immediately easy fix though is some of the in-game items, because a lot of those exist on the Steam marketplace, like with the skins and the dice and that sort of stuff. Like how they'd implement that for an iPad platform that doesn't have Steam. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's going to be some sort of like I'm not entirely sure. And I was about to say I'm not sure if our progress would go over as well in terms of leveling and things. So it might be an entirely separate environment, in which case it is what it is, and that doesn't really bother me. I don't really play Armello to be level 1 billion or whatever the cap is now. Or really for the skins. Like, they're nice. But if I'm going to be playing on the iPad or my phone, I'm playing the game for entertainment. And I'm not a massive fan I am a massive fan of really good games for iPhone. I play a lot of shit games for iPhone too, but good news is that they're also working, and a couple of months afterwards will be the Android version as well. So everybody will get the version, and as per usual, it'll just be a little bit later for the Android users, but that's really cool. Would you guys, if it didn't connect, would you guys get it on your phone? Would it be a game you'd play on your phone, do you think? Those games are long.
Not sure.
That's the only thing I'm thinking.
I'm just trying to think about the controls. Like, there's nothing in the way the game controls that I think would be particularly difficult on a phone. Like, especially considering that, I spend most of my time playing a card game on my phone, which runs fine with assets that size. So, I think I probably would. Yeah.
The only reason I wouldn't is because I just don't play on my phone. I just... for me, gaming is I'll sit down and I'll be like, I'm on my couch. I'm at my desk. Not I'm laying back on the phone because I don't catch public transport or anything like that.
If there's a pass-around version for iPad...
Oh, definitely.
I would seriously consider it.
100%.
Yeah, that would be extraordinary.
Actually, you know what I think the one barrier would be is the fact that the game is typically around 60 to 90 minutes in length. Like, I think a lot of people who play phone games and to a lesser extent iPad and tablet games, they usually go for things that are a bit shorter, like a bit more bite-sized in experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Could be turn-based, just play a turn and leave it.
Yeah. If you could save progress, that'd be awesome. But I doubt that it would work like that. If it was pass and play, maybe you could.
I think, and again, this is all just theorizing, wild theory number 582 for this year, that's what Fury mode exists for.
Okay.
Oh,
That
to
the
speed up.
idea of Fury mode was to see if the game would be broken if they sped it up, because it was always been a house rule, and therefore they can then apply that and say like all iOS versions or whatever are sped up. I almost feel like the game will go all Fury mode at some stage, especially with
I'm
these
alright with
Fury
that.
Fridays. Yeah, and it doesn't bother me at all. If you know how to play the game, it's fairly easy. But I can imagine when you're learning to play the game, that's full on.
Yeah, there's no time
So-
to read cards.
The thing that concerns me with
None
that
at all.
kind of stuff, though, is that when you're playing on mobile, the potential for connection dropouts is a lot greater. And, like, honestly, that bothers me a little bit when I play short games like Hearthstone. Like, particularly when you're playing ladder matches, that's crappy when you lose, your position on the ladder due to, like, a game dropout and an auto loss assigned for that reason. But I think it would sting even more if you're in the middle of, like, a potentially 90-minute game, like, especially towards the end, and then you lost all your progress. That would really suck. So, Fury mode kind of
That's
makes
fair.
that a little bit sort of more difficult too, because you've got more potential for timeout with less time being allocated to your turn if something goes wrong with your connection. So, I don't know. It's an interesting one.
I don't know. I mean, they've spent their time getting this right, so I fully trust them to do this well. And it's only because we've played the game a lot. I think it's going to be great for people who've never played, who listen to us babble on about Armello all the time, and we're like, I'm not interested in this. Pick it up on an iPad, I think, will be great, but it would just be interesting if we play it on PC already, whether or not it's something that we would play on an iPad, really. So, yeah, there you go. That's my interesting tidbit of the week, and I was very excited. Lots more will come on PAX Oz now that PAX West is done, and maybe we'll talk more about PAX West next week. Because lots of stuff happened.
Well, I can tell you one more platform that I think Armello should appear on, and that is Switch. I think Armello on Switch would actually be a really, really good platform for it. That would kick ass. So touchscreen, slightly bigger screen, the sort of game that you want to play when you're on the go. I reckon that would fit perfectly. Well, I'd be interested to see if they'd actually considered doing a Switch port. So we shall see. But failing that, like Nintendo actually did a direct during the week focused entirely on the upcoming indie titles that they've got coming onto the platform, or the Nindies as they like to call it, which I was kind of half amused that you guys had not heard that term until tonight, so that's awesome.
I cringe.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, during the direct, there was a whole bunch of indie games that they basically showed trailers for, and there's a bunch of them sort of on show at PAX West as well. Now, I'm not going to go through sort of talking about all of them in detail. I just want to pull out a few highlights, though, because there was some... none of these look bad. I want to stress that. I think every single one of these that they showed looked really, really good for different reasons. So a few standouts. We had the new No More Heroes game, which is called Travis Strikes Again. Now, I haven't played the original No More Heroes, but...
I have. It was good fun.
You liked it? Yeah.
I didn't know they were making a second.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
They are. So yeah, Travis Touchdown's making a return. So I assume it's a fairly assassination focused sort of brawler again, similar to what the last one was. So that could be quite interesting. Kentucky Route Zero is coming to Switch, and that is a episodic game that has been out for a while, but it's been like about a year, or in some cases a year and a half or more between episodes. It's a 5-episode game. The final episode is going to be timed with the Switch release, so that'll all be out for that. Super Meat Boy Forever is coming to Switch. That's the follow-up to the original Super Meat Boy. So again, looks like a stupidly hard platformer with cutesy kind of characters. Now, one that really sort of stuck out to me, which I think is just a really bizarre but cool idea. There's a first-person sort of team shooter called Morphe's Law that's coming out. Now, basically, you run around as a character that fires a gun that basically morphs your opponents and steals mass from them. So if you manage to hit the thing you're shooting at in the head, for instance, then your head starts to increase in size as theirs shrinks.
Oh, God.
Yeah. If you shoot them in the legs, then their legs get tiny and yours increase. And the abilities that you have in game actually are reflected by what parts of your body are big and small. So if you get like massive legs, all of a sudden you get like crazy jumping power, for instance. If your body gets shrunk right down down by getting hit repeatedly by your opponents, then all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of gaps on the map that you can fit through. So, it really sort of changes the physics depending on what parts of your body are big or small. And the whole idea being that your team as a whole has to sort of steal enough mass from the enemy's team to sort of inflate like an idol of your team characters up the other end of the field. And that's like a score counter essentially. And once that gets to the biggest size, then you win. But you should check out the trailer for this game. It looks like something really weird and different.
That does sound really cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it sounded like that. It's got that similar idea from that Australian indie game. It's called Gelatinous. Oh, I can't remember. And you're the blobs, and you fight on the screen, and you absorb guns and things as you fly around. And as you kill other people, you absorb their mass and you absorb their weapons.
Oh, I vaguely remember
and
that.
It just, yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
Armed and Gelatinous.
That's the one. Still not out on Steam. Soon.
Yeah.
But that sounds really cool.
Yeah. No, it does sound good.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that.
There is a game that they showed called Nine Parchments that looks a lot like a Diablo-style sort of top-down kind of action brawler, but it's a very sort of, I guess, a bit more Disney-esque anime kind of themed fantasy realm, but it looks really, really good. And apparently that one's out a little bit earlier, so it might even be this year. So that one's worth having a look at. And the last one, which really captured my attention immediately, and I think sort of just talking about Armello will sort of tie in well to this. It's a game called Light Fingers. It's basically a turn-based multiplayer game with up to 4 players, but you're basically competing on a board that's been magically enhanced, and there's panels that you sort of walk over on this board that show dice on them, and they flip, like they've got this mechanical flipping kind of action, which is similar to, like the Game of Thrones opening sort of sequence, where you've got all of the different elements of Westeros kind of being constructed out of the little sort of cardboardy mechanical sort of elements. It's like that kind of look and feel. So, and the video confused the hell out of me because it's supposed to be a turn-based multiplayer game, but there's bits of the board that you sort of flip and you go underground, and then it looks like it's kind of like running around as like a platformer. So I don't know what the heck that was. It's very confusing, but holy crap, it looks good. So
Looks amazing.
Yeah, so check that out. But man, Nintendo has got some real good stuff coming for Switch. Like, after all of the controversy of their launch lineup being very lackluster when the console first came out, I gotta say, like, every single thing I see for Switch these days makes me want the console more and more and more. I'm gonna pick one up as soon as possible for Mario Odyssey, but I think, Switch is really gonna kick some ass next year. I think it's gonna be, the things keep selling out just about everywhere, so that's a good sign of things to come. But now that a lot of the third parties are really coming on board with software and cool fun things that will go on it that are quite, it's quite a few exclusives as well. I think that's really raising Nintendo's stock quite a bit. So some stuff to look out for. Nintendo Switch. There you go.
So I have a thing that I saw that was a bit interesting. So have you guys heard of a game called House Party by any chance?
Yes. We
How-
talked about House Party on the show, did we not?
Yeah.
Or maybe we talked about it before the show.
Is House Party
Entirely
that
possible.
super old one that got remade recently? I forget. Or am I confused?
I don't know if it was there was an original one, but it's definitely a modern take on it, if there was an original, where you're at a party and the whole aim, I guess, is to hook up with some ladies and get their tatars out.
Okay, not the one I'm thinking
as
of.
well as have your nefarious ways with, and it is quite graphic.
Yeah.
So no, Luke, probably a different one to the one you might be thinking of.
It's asking for my
there's
date
also-
of birth on the store page.
That
Yep.
says everything, really. There's also another one called Strangers in a Strange Land. So the thing I wanted to talk about was Steam's, the Steam Marketplace in particular, or not the Marketplace, but the Steam Store, rules on adult content in games. So you have these two games, essentially, which are, for lack of a better term, their main content is pornographic material. So it's really interesting because these games have been taken down from the store, and then they got put back up, but with a censor bar. And now you can get, say, Strangers in a Strange Land, and again, it's censored, but you just download a patch from the developer website, and it's not censored anymore. So it's interesting then that you have games which are primarily pornographic material, and they get taken down from the store and need to be censored, whereas you have games like, say, the Witcher series, which has quite graphic sex scenes, but that doesn't get censored. And then on top of that, you also have some of the visual novels. So apparently, human female breasts are not okay, but cat-girl threesomes are. So it's an interesting. What do you guys think on, like, should games with primarily pornographic content be on the Steam store? Should there be, like, what's your view on that? I'm very curious.
Sure, why not? I think everyone just needs to relax. Have, like, controls in place so, you know, children don't access it, but it's the same as any adult theme. Sex isn't a crime. It's sex. So stop getting hysterical about it. Some people want to play those games, that's fine. They'll play those games. If you don't have to. That's my opinion.
Okay, but what about them going, it's okay, now it's not okay. Now it's okay, but if you do this.
I think it's silly. I mean, censorship in that respect, I don't understand the purpose. Why, if it's a game for adults, it can have adult themes. I mean, we have a censorship board that's going to stop anything, you know, extraordinarily gratuitous. And if even then, I think that's
Let's say
going
Outlast 2
far.
got through, so come on.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, there are games that, you know, focus on actual criminal conduct, things that are against our laws and are celebrated for their entertainment, but everyone's going to flip out over some boobs. I don't get it.
So I think, oh no, you go, Luke.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when it comes to ratings and censorship in particular, I think that because there's commercial sort of aspects to that whole scene tied into it, and, you know, ultimately companies getting hit by the monetary impact of whether something is restricted content or not, it largely becomes a legal issue. And I don't think Steam is equipped to handle that in a legal sense at all, because realistically, it's the countries that are going to be selling the products. They have their own ratings boards that actually need to investigate each game on its merits and, you know, assign a rating to it, and any, you know, required censorship linked to that. So, and what is deemed unacceptable in one country might not meet the same standards in another country. So, you know, Steam's moving towards a more regional approach to pricing and availability for certain games, and you know, restricting game transfers along the same sort of structure to stop people from circumventing differences in currency and that kind of thing. They really, if they're going to start looking at you know, restricting access to games based on, you know, standards and censorship, they need to apply the same rules, I think.
Okay.
They're just not equipped to do it themselves. I don't think that they are consistent enough, and I don't think that they you know, have the right approach to actually vetting the content. So, you know, it's going to be extremely inconsistent the way that they do it, and that's going to end up, you know, creating some commercial angst with the people that they're doing business with. So I think it's a bad idea, personally. Yeah.
Mimo, what are your thoughts?
I don't think that dissimilar to Jams, although, you know, there's a part of me that wishes that wasn't somebody's entertainment, but, you know, each to their own, and, you know, it's going to exist in some form as long as you're mindful of what you're viewing, and and I think the major risk is people worrying about, like, it being inappropriate for young computer players, and that should be at least, like, monitored in some way, you know. It's always the rule to me is games like this are not my type of game, and I think that parts of them are just the worst. But I still play GTA 5. You know, I'm not over there, like, killing people for the lols and everything else.
Yeah.
I'm punching out randoms, but that's what some people use it for. So if a game like GTA 5 can be as prolific as it is and accepted, then it's just more about making sure that you're viewing content that you're comfortable with, and that your children, if you have them, are not viewing content you are not comfortable with them viewing.
I think essentially, I mean, it's up to the developer to get it classified correctly in the region it's going to be sold in, and it's up to Steam to have something in place to ensure that it can confirm who is accessing it, you know, and their age. The rest is just like background programming.
The problem with getting stuff classified, though, as far as I understand it, and someone might correct me on this, but I believe that video game publishers actually need to pay for the privilege of having their game put through classification. And for some of the smaller indie devs, that, could be quite a large cost for them. But by the same token, that actually adds on a stage in the development cycle when it comes to actually getting out to market, and there's going to be a wait time involved as well. So, for a lot of devs that want to be fairly agile in their approach to getting content to market, that's obviously going to prove to be a problem as well. But yeah, the other thing too is, like, we're kind of glossing over the fact that there's a big difference between purchasing games to play in the privacy of your own home and games that are likely to be broadcast over the internet as well. So, getting into a whole other topic when we start talking about YouTube and Twitch and what games, should be available to stream and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. And, those platforms do a pretty poor job of that as it is. So, yeah. What can you expect?
Because let's face facts, games like House Party, there is a genre of game which is designed essentially to be reaction video bait and stream material. This is one of those games. And at that point then, it's not only like Steam going, oh, we've got this game on there, but then it's also Twitch and YouTube going, ooh, do we really want that? Because I know for a fact a decent chunk of House Party videos on YouTube actually got demonetized because YouTube was like, no, do not want that.
Yeah, YouTube have done we won't take it down, but you're not making money out of this. To try and dissuade sort of the larger guys from doing things that are not universally approachable by children, specifically. But I don't know. I think that there has to be some accountability for how younger people or people who this is not appropriate for are viewing this and how they are viewing that. It's tough. Like, Twitch is really tough, and people like, all the Minecraft guys who have huge, very young following, they have a video, and then in the suggested videos you get a PewDiePie video, and you watch the PewDiePie video, which might be innocuous, and the next video that comes up is, him playing this game. Is not ideal. But I don't know how we're expecting someone like Twitch to do that, because it's a live streaming service.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
There's all sorts of weirdness on Twitch. There's a game called Genital Jousting, guys, and we're all okay with that.
It's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic game. Just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
Well, I have a warm fuzzy little story.
Yeah, let's finish on something good.
Fuzzies.
Finish on a warm fuzzy, Jan.
CD Projekt Red are amazing. And they have released a little video for the 10th anniversary of the Witcher series. And it's gorgeous. It's just this little 2-minute video with all of your friends from the games saying, hey, we miss you. It's been such a ride. And it's lovely.
Aww.
And at the end, they toast you, the player. And then it says, love, CD Projekt Red. And it's so sweet. And I may have been teary.
Aww.
It's just adorable. Yeah. I love it. It's something they absolutely did not have to do. But they're just giving props to the fans and the players who've helped it make what it's become. And yeah. It's sweet.
CD Projekt Red, one of those companies to watch in the years to come. They have done some pretty amazing stuff, and they've only got more to come. So, Cyberpunk 2077, yes.
I know.
If that just ends up being Cyberpunk Witcher, I will be the happiest man alive.
Fuck yes.
As will everyone, the entire world.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And because we love Vikings so much, here's a Viking-style game of the month, which is going to be Jotun.
Is it Jotun? Are we sure it's Jotun and not Jotun? I was always wondering that.
It's Jotun, but it's not a Y. It's a, I don't know how to describe it to you.
The J sound.
It's a JY.
Jotun.
Jotun.
Yeah.
Jotun.
Yeah.
There you go. So, after that history lesson. Now,
Sorry.
So for those, no, it's okay. It's good. We got to be accurate for the internet. Otherwise, we get a new asshole torn by the internet. No one can argue that point. So with this game, this is a cool little game that I put forward for the party game of the month because I actually played it a little while ago, and then I wanted to keep playing it, and then I just forgot about it because I'm a gaming magpie, and that's how I roll. Now, this game is cool. So it is a isometric slash action hack and slash, I guess is the best way I can describe it. So isometric hack and slash, where you play a fallen Viking shield maiden who met a rather unfortunate end and is fighting her way for a spot in glorious Valhalla.
Her name is Thora.
So,
if that's relevant.
Sure, why not? So her name is Thora, and she is awesome. She's got a lovely axe, and she wants to grind it against some god skulls. Now, this game is done by Thunder Lotus Games and is available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Wii U, Microsoft Windows, and Linux if you're all hipster like that. So it is on pretty much everything you could want, and it is a very cool little game. So the main game mechanics is, like I said, it's isometric. It is a bit of level exploration. So you have a realm map, I guess would be the proper word to say it, not world map. A realm map where you have different sections that you will go through and complete levels in. And so they're themed around different parts of the mythology. So, for example, you might have frozen Niflheim, and so it's all icy themed. And there's Jormungandr sort of sliding around under the ice, being an asshole every now and then when he pops up. And it's all icy themed stuff. And then you'll have a fiery themed level, or then a nice foresty themed level. And I think there was a cloud, lightning, storm themed level, I want to say. That's the one I haven't done yet. So is it storm themed?
Lightning.
Yeah.
Lightning themed? Yep. Okay. Yeah. Get your Thorian on. So the way that the game works is you move around with the traditional sort of movements, so up, down, left, right. You have a dodge mechanic, so you have like a little roll that you can do. You have a light attack, which is quite fast. And you have a heavy attack, which is quite slow, but it does cooler stuff. And you have a couple of god powers and power-ups that you pick up along the way as well. And you use these to slash your way and run your way through various environments, find cool power-ups, find ways to get past different levels, and kill some baddies on the way as well, some little baddies. And then what I think would be considered sort of the main attraction, I would say, for this game, or one of the most coolest parts of this game, which is the boss fights. I don't know about you guys, but I found the boss fights to be one of the coolest parts.
Yeah.
So, actually, how much did we each get up to, out of curiosity? How many bosses did we each go through?
Well, Jam, you should probably start, because I think you got the furthest out of all of us.
Okay. So of the 5 elemental realms, I defeated 3, and I was fighting the 4th just before.
Which 3 did you do?
I did the wealth, the forest, and the ice, and I was fighting the lightning god.
Okay.
Not 2 hours ago. Dying.
Oh, is that a hard one comparatively, or?
I just was having trouble dodging lightning at the end, I think.
True, lightning is known for its ability to be easily dodgeable.
Around. Yeah.
You just got to stand in the same spot.
Duplicated himself on me.
Yeah.
What?
Stand in the same spot, because it never strikes the same spot twice.
Hell no.
That is an urban myth,
That is
good
not
sir.
true at all.
So what about you, Luke? How far did you get in this game?
So I cleared 2 zones. I beat 2 of the big bosses. So I did the first one, the forest boss, which I think everybody does, which is Yggdrasil, I believe. I think that was just the realm, not the boss necessarily. The boss was really cool. It was kind of like a giant sort of foresty version of like Ursula from the Little Mermaid. Is kind of how I saw it.
Yes, it was. That was. Thank you. I was trying to figure out what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ursula from the Little Mermaid. That is.
Stupid eyeball plant.
Just remove the tentacles from Ursula and replace it with tree branch vine type thingies. So yeah, it was very, very similar. Yeah. And that was really fun. I think that was actually the best boss that I saw so far. I really liked that boss fight. The other one that I cleared was the sort of fiery lava sort of forge realm, where you're sort of running around and there's giant ogre type dudes throwing boulders at you, and you're trying to avoid sort of lava cracks on the ground that sort of are environmental hazards and that kind of thing. And there's like a smith god that you fight as the boss of that realm. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And next I was going to have a go at the cloud one. So that was me.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
And Limimos, how much did you get done?
I think I only did 1. I didn't get a lot of time. A lot of this month has been busy, so it was only the last couple of weeks and with the computer transition. But I did the plant poison woman.
I can't believe it's not Ursula.
Yeah.
But covered in tree.
Yes.
My favourite was the wealth one. Or whatever that was called, the yellow. It was pretty epic.
I haven't done the yellow one.
Oh, you end up being surrounded by hordes of dwarves.
Oh, I've seen pictures of that one. That looked really cool. Yeah.
It's nuts. It's so
Is that
nuts.
the earth-based one then? The elemental-based?
It's... Hang on. I wrote it down. It was like... I think it was Fae, the rune of wealth and something. I'll look it up.
And what, she throws angry dwarves at you?
Summons.
Oh, she
Summons
summons
little
them.
minions.
No one tosses
Yeah.
a dwarf. Okay, so I finished 3. I did the foresty starter one, I did the lavery, fiery forge one, and I did the icy one as well. So for me personally, I think Flavor Flav wise, the icy one won out for me. It's really, air quotes, cool. See what I did there?
Yeah.
So how have you guys found the game mechanics? Do you like how the game plays? Is there anything you're like, oh, don't really... As far as the mechanics of the game is concerned, how are you guys finding it?
I found it was a little too all or nothing for me. The
What do you mean by that?
The boss fights are full on and challenging, and if you're not paying attention, it's easy to get wiped out. Whereas the rest of the game, exploring the levels to find the runes to unlock the boss fights, it's just fairly basic, platformer puzzle
Yeah.
type
Okay.
stuff. It felt a bit rote, just a little bit. It was gorgeous though.
Okay. What about you, Metroid Man? What did you think?
Um,
Because I know this style of game might be a bit more up your alley.
Yeah, the overall sort of over and under on this game for me is I loved the shit out of it. I thought it was awesome. Massive, massive fan. So the only sort of sticking points for me gameplay wise was that the general movement and combat kind of felt a little bit clunky at times because of the lack of motion that you have when you're doing your attacks and even the rolling kind of dodge mechanic I think was just a little bit sort of tricky in that it didn't feel particularly fluid. Like it was a bit stop-start when you execute that move. You can't kind of keep moving in a smooth motion. You have to sort of stop for a second and then keep running again. And the main reason why that's sort of stuck in my mind is because having just played Thunder Lotus Games' other game recently, they recently released Sundered. That game is all about smooth, fluid, movement. So, in fact, a lot of the actions that you do in that game actually keep you moving. Like, there's no sort of stop-start at all. Contrasting those two, obviously totally different games. It was just a big point of difference for me, and that was the one thing that felt a bit sort of jarred. But the rest of it, man, I love this game. Let me count the ways. The art style is incredible. The audio is incredible. The storytelling is incredible. Yeah, and the boss fights, like we kind of mentioned it already, but the thing that sticks out to me with the boss fights, and they do the exact same thing in Sundered as well, is just that how much larger than life they are. They become these incredible sort of narrative set pieces where, like, as soon as you get to them, they zoom the camera out, and the sense of awe and spectacle as you're fighting these bosses is just wild. Like, I love it. So, there's really good climactic moments. So yeah, I was a huge fan. I'm gonna go back in and when I'm not destinying, I'll be finishing this game because I liked it a lot.
Ah, very nice. What about you, Mimo, with your quick little wine sampling of it?
Yeah.
Cheese platter?
I quite enjoyed it. I found the same as Luke was saying with the rolls, but mine was also like the attacks. Like I couldn't quite get I kind of felt like I kind of pressed the button and then it happened. Was sort of going on, but I really like it. I mean, the theme of it was really nice, but I think in terms of the mechanics and the way the game sort of worked, it was. I mean, I've only had 25 minutes in the game, but especially on this new PC and this ridiculous screen, it was really cool. And I kind of like it. It has that kind of Ori-esque element to it that I like. That kind of the voice in the background, very similar to Never Alone, which I kind of like as well. Which telling the story and that sort of was really cool. But I definitely will play more. I want to see more.
That reminds me, when Luke said Ursula, I remembered what the animation style reminded me of, and it was like that sort of 90s or earlier Disney animation, where they had that just ever so slight, like, sketchy outline.
Yeah,
so
they don't have the black lined assets. They've got, like, the colour just sort of stops and has the contrast, but not the defined sort of edge shading. Yeah, I agree.
It reminded me of that, and I really like the art style. The art style for this game, by the way, just Google some screenshots when you get the time. It is a really pretty game. Like, it's a relatively simplistic and stylized art style, but it works really, really well with this style of game.
It plays with perspective really, really excellently too.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
that
I
was
think-
one of my standout favourite parts of the game. Every now and then you're navigating through an area looking for runes and you hit some kind of outlook or lookout, and it pans up and out, and you see just in the distance this epically grand backdrop, this huge expanse of something. It's either gigantic swords plowed through the earth or, you know, a maze of little ice places. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love it when that happened.
That's definitely one thing this game does well, is that between those panoramas and the boss fights that Luke was mentioning, the sheer sense of scale, and it definitely gives you that, like, fuck yeah, I'm hardcore sort of feeling, because you're like, I'm this teeny tiny shield maiden, I'm gonna hit you in the toe till you die, motherfucker. And that's actually one thing I do enjoy with the boss fights. It isn't just I hit you in the ankles and somehow that kills you. They do fall over. You do whack things into them. There's a bit more interactivity there, which I quite enjoyed.
The mini boss fight early on, when you fight that undead sort of Viking from the tomb,
Skelly Man.
And every hit that you land on him, he actually grows in size, and that changes the mechanics of the fight, because then you all of a sudden need to stay out of his reach and have a different approach to landing a hit on him. That kind of stuff is
just
really
run between his legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Was he a
Run
boss?
between his legs.
Like a
mini
boss.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I didn't count him. He was good. That was such a cool kind of intro to it. I like it.
Yeah.
He's like a little tutorial boss. Like, here's how boss fights work. You're like, ooh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I was a bit curious because Jam said that she didn't know that I would enjoy it. She think I'd enjoyed the game, but not parts of it. But I guess maybe that's the puzzle platformer parts.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was a strange mix. The puzzle platform parts, in some areas they feel a bit, I don't know, like they drag on. In others, it's quite fun. Like in the lightning area, to advance, you've got to recreate constellations. And that's neat. It's not difficult, but it's kind of cute. And there's a different mechanic in each zone. Each of the 5 elemental areas have a couple different zones to find runes to unlock the boss fight. But yeah, I just wasn't sure if you'd appreciate sort of the monotony of running around for a bit and then super intense boss fight.
It's definitely not a combat-heavy game. Like, the combat is kind of split into a couple of key zones. Like, from what the impression I get, that dwarf zone that you were just talking about before, that one and the one where you're fighting the rock-chucking ogre-type dudes that I was talking about as well, I think they're probably a couple of the most intensive combat zones. The rest of it is, a better mix of running around.
Yeah. The rock-chucking ogre dudes, you don't even have to fight them. They're an environmental device to get around.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, you kind of do need to fight a few of them, but yeah.
Not really. But yeah, the art style is absolutely stunning. I love it. And the whole narrative around the Norse mythology and the language that they're using is just exquisite. And that kept me intrigued and invested, even when I was maybe a little bit bored of running around a maze of platforms, trying to find which one's leading me to the place I need to go. Just gorgeous.
Yeah, I'd have to pretty much mirror what everyone else said and go, yeah, amazing looking game, amazing sounding game. Occasionally the combat feels a little bit odd with the animations, a little tiny bit odd. And then I did come across a little couple of glitches. But then, like Jam said, I found that some of the in-between bits did drag. Especially on times when you have to double back, you're just like, and I'm trudging.
Yeah.
At least you
Definitely
have,
in the
at least you have
afterlife,
that
this
hub.
does feel like an eternity.
At least you got that hub area in the middle, though. Like, when you complete an area, you don't need to trudge back through it. You can just teleport to the hub. So yeah, that's good.
I genuinely appreciate that feature. That's actually one of the things I didn't like over much with, say, Ori and the Blind Forest, was having to double back through areas. And I'm like, I can explore new areas. Still been here before.
Yeah. And at least you've got the save sort of point unlocks in the middle of the stages too, infinite lives essentially. Like you'll go back to the most recent save point, and that's especially handy when you get up to the boss fights, because you die and you'll basically go straight back into the boss fight. So yeah.
I'm very keen to see what happens when you beat all 5 bosses.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be
none of us got
there.
Yeah, I had only one other thing I was going to say is I feel like this is a Viking version of Cuphead. What Cuphead is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of saw the walking before the boss fights as kind of like, in Super Mario, you would like walk to like the next level or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of feel it was kind of like that. The desert one where you would walk and it would like pull you down if you didn't do like the right order and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I wonder if Cuphead and some of the art style kind of started making me think about the style of Cuphead anyway. So, yeah, I wonder at that game since I've been waiting to play it. And if that's what it is, it would be really cool because I really enjoyed it so far in my 25 minutes of play.
So all round, it gets a runic thumbs up from everyone, it sounds like.
Hells yes.
It sure does.
Yep.
Scratch it in stone.
There you go. Inscribe that shit, yo.
Cool.
All right. So that means we have to move on to our next party game of the month.
Question. It's
Answer.
T-minus 20 minutes till Destiny 2. Are we
Correct.
genuinely picking a game of the month? Or are we just going to make it Destiny 2?
No, we will talk about Destiny next week, but we've still got a few weeks left.
Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah,
I think
Exactly.
I
Probably
need
the
like
week after.
another game that forces me to stop playing Destiny potentially. I'm a little bit worried about it.
All right. So on that note, then Mimo, because reasons, I pick you to explain how the month game work thing.
Ollie got to
works.
delegate.
Okay.
I got to delegate. It's great.
Game of
That's
the months
why.
are elected by us and by people who write into our show via Facebook, Twitter. You can send us an email at mail@partyloaded.com. We've got a bunch of them on the list here, but basically the parameters that we set for them is that they are available on PC, preferably Steam, just because that helps us all because we all tend to play on PC, and it means that people like Ollie who are non-console owners can still play it. We generally look at anything under 30 Australian dollars. And basically a game that we can get a good idea of the play within sort of like maximum 10 hours. So a quick little game or a game that we're going to get a good idea for in that time so that we can play it in a month and tell you guys how we went with it. Bonus points if it's a online multiplayer game that we can play against each other because we love that.
hells yes. Gives us a chance to do some video content potentially too, which is good. So
It sure does. It sure does. Oh, that'd be cool. First party game of the month, like online thing. That'd be neat.
yeah, when we get a good one, we should definitely do that for sure.
Yeah. There's one on that list that if it comes up, we for sure have to video.
Oh shit, yes. All right, well, we got to basically roll it up then. So, Ollie, have you got the random number generator at the ready?
I do. Let me exit the document. Boom. Now I am truly blind. All right. I got a 4. What's 4?
Ooh.
Oh, it's Witchit.
I have to go back into the document. Okay,
It's
there you go.
Witchit. The prop hunt, like prettily skinned as a Witch v Villager game, as suggested by my brother.
Oh,
Sam.
I vaguely remember this one.
Yeah. No, it looks.
Is this
it
the one
looks
where Jam's the
fun.
werewolf?
No, I'm not
No,
the
Jam is a
werewolf.
witch, and her evil cackle actually matches now.
I'm not the witch. I'm the broomstick.
I don't know if that's
I'm
better
gonna-
or worse.
I'm gonna hide.
I think it'll be good. It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks like
So there
fun.
we go.
So it is
be trying out.
$14.99 US. Very, very positive reviews. Yeah, looks pretty
Online
we can play
multiplayer.
with Jam's
Is it
brother.
online multiplayer?
It is online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hooray! I'm down.
It looks like it potentially might be a slightly lighter time commitment with some of the other stuff we're looking at playing this month. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, it's prop hunt. It's essentially prop hunt. So, you just faff around with friends. Woohoo!
Good.
There we go.
Good job.
Good job, team.
I take full credit for that. Sorry, Sam.
Nice.
What?
Well, anyway, if you want to play a part in this process and actually suggest us a game for next month's Party Game of the Month, it's never too early to get onto it. So you can drop us a line via email, as Mimo mentioned before, so, mail@partyloaded.com, on Facebook or at Partyloaded Show on Twitter, and let us know what you want to recommend us, and we'll chuck it on the list, and hopefully it'll come up sometime soon. So we just keep a rolling list going forward. So if your game doesn't come up immediately in the next month's selection, it stays in the mix for potential future drawings. So you should do that. And we've always got new stuff sort of coming on and dropping out of there. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, we've got. We're heading into silly season now. So I think beginning of September, AAA season has officially started. So there is.
You mean like in 15 minutes?
Yeah, like 15 minutes
15
time.
minutes.
Everything really starts. So yeah, there's some crazy stuff coming up. I'm looking forward to the next month and a bit for sure.
Shit's about to get real.
Yeah, about to get real. I mean, PAX Oz is next month now. That's a thing.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I'm so excited. Hooray!
Yeah, so that'll be cool. All right, well, we all know sort of what three of us are going to be doing for the next week of gaming. Ollie, what have you got your sights set on while we're all distracted? What are you looking at?
That's a good question. I should find some really good like single-player games or something to smash out while you guys just slowly become one with your PlayStations.
Persona 5.
Yes.
Ooh, that is actually genuinely tempting. I'm not going to lie, that is actually tempting. I'm going to go through my Steam library first, though. I'm going to make sure that there's no single-player games that I haven't,
Wolfenstein?
not quite finished yet. Ooh, Wolfenstein's a good suggestion
That's
as well.
a very good
I like
suggestion
that.
because
Metro?
Wolfenstein, the new Colossus is coming out
Metro?
next month.
Yeah.
I finished all the Metro games.
Oh, well done.
You
Bully for you.
peasant.
I have not.
Oh, nice. Cool.
But yes, I'll figure something out. And at worst, I might just go down to my mate's place and steal his PlayStation.
What Remains of Edith Finch? Play it.
Ooh,
Yes.
There you go. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Ding.
Good call, Memo.
I mean, that's
Boom.
an evening, but
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
And Imogen will fire up her
All right.
PlayStation and totally forget that she has a brand new PC. No, I'm sure that's not going to happen.
Oh, don't say that.
I love that. It's going to be sitting there. Going to be like, why? You forget about me already?
Oh, man.
I feel
got
sorry
some
for poor little
GTA to
potato
play.
laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already relegated to the wardrobe.
Oh, no.
I was about to say, it's gone.
I
Good
tell you
effort,
what,
potato.
I tell you what though, my PlayStation has been getting a workout over the last month and a half. Holy moly! Like the amount of stuff I've been running off that. I mean, with Uncharted and Yakuza, which I'm still playing through, because holy moly, that game's good too. Yeah, it's going to keep getting a burn through, I think. So it's a good time. Good time. Anyway, speaking of good time, a good
What a
time to
time to
wrap
be
up
alive.
this show. So thank you everybody for listening, and we will be back again in 7 days' time. Well, 8 days technically, with a whole bunch of cool new fun stuff to talk about, shaped like Destiny. Anyway, good night. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.
All the puppies!
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.